Welcome to This Ain't No More Podcast. Here with the full crew today. Chaz Moore, Justin Thompson, Osei Jumfy, co-hosts. Uh, yeah, how you guys doing? I mean, I guess I'll start first. Like today was kind of I wasn't sure it was going to happen, but I was actually kind of felt some type of way about today. Today's January 20th. Trump was inaugurated, pushed a whole bunch of executive actions. And I mean, we're here. Like we are in Trump's America, and I just was trying to process what the implications of that, and there's a lot of implications. So I guess just to start there, like how you feeling about it? Chaz, how you feeling?
I unplugged today,
Smart.
so I didn't like around probably 6 or 7 p.m., maybe even a little earlier p.m. Eastern time is when I started to like look at stuff and accept phone calls, about what's going on. So I think I'm not there yet. It's still January 19th for me.
Okay. Justin, how you feeling?
I mean, it's frustrating, but like I was ready for it, and not ready for it just because the election was 2 months ago. It was just because once it became clear that he was going to win the popular vote, I was like, well, I mean, he won. Like that's it. America did this, so America's going to get what it is. So everything that happened is everything he said was going to happen, and all the things he said he was going to try to do. And it's annoying to see it, and it's sad to see our country clearly turn strongly towards fascism, but like I'm not really tripping right now. It'll get worse, obviously, but you know, we'll see. Day one of however many days are in 4 years. But I'm definitely not watching that dude on TV do anything for the next 4 years. That's for sure. I will only be reading.
Yeah. Uh, Osei, I mean, we kind of briefly talked off air, but you said you're not affected by this at
Oh
all,
yeah, no, not
basically.
even remotely. Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Like, what even back when we did, and if anyone is listening, go back and check it out. When we did Endgame, one of our first pods, and I was saying that, you know, the whole thing about Donald Trump is basically like, white nationalist evangelical supremacy, and they weren't going to stand for it. They were going to get violent with it. And I remember I was speaking with you and Tunchi at the time, and you were like, but I was saying, well, it sounds like it's gonna be violence in the street. I was like, yeah, it's gonna be violence. Like they're gonna react violently, and then they ended up going to the Capitol and trying to take the thing over. Now, don't get me wrong, I can't say I'm good at predicting anything. I did not think that I didn't have 55% of Latino males trying to destroy themselves on my bingo card. I didn't have Palestinian protesters trying to destroy Palestine on my bingo card, right? But like that goes to the thing where it's like, why I'm not really tripping because where you're going to hear a lot of the cries are going to be from people who are in unions who are like, he's not going to destroy us, even though he hates unions. And the Palestinian protesters who are like, well, Biden was doing genocide. It's like, you don't know what genocide is yet. Like, you ain't seen a damn thing yet, right? Like, or, Latino males who just couldn't bring themselves to vote for a black woman, and so they decided to go and vote for Donald Trump because they figured if they did that, they'd be pardoned somehow. Like they weren't going to be the criminals. And literally today, he criminalized you. Today, first thing he did was criminalize you. So if that again, like we're running into an oligarchy, that kind of blows. You know what I'm saying? Like, but at the same time, it's like all that stuff kind of has to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like going through surgery for like a busted Achilles or a deep flesh wound. Like, yeah, fucking, or getting your root canal or your wisdom teeth out. Like, yeah, it fucking sucks. But you know what? You were eating sugar all the goddamn time. So now you got to get your fucking root canal. Like, that's where America's at. America got high on the hog, thinking that everything, the price of eggs were too high, if that's even what they really believed. Or they took a
Yeah.
look at the numbers and they saw that the white population on Earth went from 9% to 7%, and they started to freak out. Whatever the situation was, there's a woman in Oklahoma who we talked about earlier who's trying to pass laws that make it so that women who escape their husbands for domestic violence will be classified as homeless and therefore not being able to get services unless you're in Oklahoma City or Tulsa. Okay, that's a red ass state. You fucking voted for that. I don't give a shit. Get your ass beat by your husband. I don't give a fuck. It's not on me. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't
Yeah.
care. Like, get your ass beat, bitch. Next time, vote better. I don't know what to tell you.
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, Chaz, I mean, one of the interesting things to me was, I mean, people did talk about the price of eggs and like Trump was the working class guy, and but he basically had the richest people in the world sitting in the front seat. Like he had Elon Musk, he had Zuckerberg, and he had Bezos. And the strange part to me is that they're not hiding the fact that this is going to be straight up oligarchy. Um, is that surprising to you? Like, did you think they would actually try to play this a little bit different? Like, hey, like we might do some stuff that's gonna help, but they're not even bothering to do that.
No, um, me and you talked the other day a little bit, but I think this is the first president that I think it's actually patriotic to say, I hope he fails. Right? Even the first time when Trump was elected, I wasn't like I hope he fails because if he fails, the American people fail. But here, there's no agenda that's for the American people.
Right.
Full stop.
Yeah.
So if he fails, then that just means the oligarchy fails. So we all should be hoping that he fails because this is different. There's zero agendas that are helping the majority of Americans. So this is the first time that it's extremely patriotic to say, "Man, I hope the president fails
Right.
because everything here is not for Americans. It's for this oligarchy." And I do think that that's brazen. It's unbelievable. And then you look at the people that he's gonna put in. There's a bunch of multimillionaires and billionaires in there, and um, when we're talking about like corruption, we do think, and me and you kind of talked about this the other day. We do believe here in America, especially with the Department of Defense, that we overspend, and Americans call overspending corruption, and that's not really actually corruption. That's just uh, being cavalier with your finances, right? But what if and this is what looks like it's gonna happen, like, hey, you're the Secretary of Energy or Department of Transportation, and you're becoming rich because you have an administrative role in the government. So, in other countries where you'll see warlords who have mansions and Lamborghinis, like in America, we don't ever think of a general getting a Lamborghini in a mansion. That's corruption. We have overspending, but we don't have true corruption where the government makes people more wealthy in our country. Yeah, there's some insider trading. I'm with you on that. And then there's like there's even like influence, like, hey, I want to get my kid into this school or this job, right? But on the level of I have a spot in the administration, and that is going to give me generational wealth. We don't have that in our country. We have it in the past. So that's what a true oligarchy is, and that's what literally happened today. So yeah, that's kind of wild.
I mean, Justin, speaking of this corruption, I mean, this Trump coin is wild to me. Like, I don't. This is so straightforward in terms of how like corrupt it is. Because me and Chaz talked about this. I'm not sure the American people care, and maybe the Trump is betting that the American people don't care. But I feel like this is so in your face corruption. Like this is like, hey, we're just trying to get paid here. I guess, do you think there's going to be a potential backlash to this level of corruption that we haven't seen before? But I mean, this is new, right? I mean, this is new, but this level of like, hey, buy this Trump coin, and then I might be able to give you some influence, and then I'll make more money because of it. I mean, this is yeah. I mean, what's your
I
opinion on this, Justin?
I feel like that he's shown, correctly that American people by and large won't care
Yeah.
about the coin thing because I think that what he's shown is most people in America are pretty selfish. They care about the things that impact them directly. And if it's not a thing that they feel it impacts them directly, then it's like whatever, do it. The Trump coin, while it may enrich him at the coffers of the American people and foreign influence in Saudi Arabia being able to buy Trump coin to pay him off instead of having to like rent units in Mar-a-Lago, they don't really care until it hits their pocketbooks. So I don't think that this corruption thing will be the thing that moves the needle. One, because his people don't seem to think they don't find anything wrong with anything he does. Like, I don't think I've ever heard a Republican or like someone who's like a supporter of Trump ever say he's been wrong about anything or do anything wrong whatsoever. Not once. Like, they talk up and down about Biden corruption and jobs for his son and working with investors. Like, literally, like Jared Kushner's deal in Saudi Arabia and everything. Trump triple charges the Secret Service to stay at his hotel. Like, he's literally funding himself off of it. But those people don't care, and they won't care until the needs of the oligarchy fly in the face of the things they actually need. Like, there's a thing in the draft of the tax cut that repeals the mortgage interest deduction. So anyone who owns a house in America, your taxes would go up. Stuff like that might hit people to pay attention. Elon Musk has said pretty bluntly with all of the cuts he wants to do, which would be targeted towards benefits that people need. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid,
They don't care about that.
VA, stuff that will actually hurt people, that will cause the economy to sink. And he's like, it's pain, it's sacrifice, because he knows that for the billionaire class, it's in the best energy it's in their best interest for the economy to crash and them know about it, because these people know and they'll sell assets and stock beforehand. Warren Buffett's got, like, I thought I read somewhere, he's got 50 to 60% of his money in cash right now. Like, these people will know what's going to happen. It will crash. And in a crash, when everyone is suffering and without jobs and without money, the people who have cash in hand are the ones who will come up, because what can they do? They can buy everything at a humongous discount, whether that's housing, whether that's property, whether that's stock, anything, because they've got cash to do it. And then they can ride the elevator up and make 15, 20 times more than they had before. And that is the game they are playing. So yeah, when everything crashes, people will get mad, but then it's probably too late. So then what do you do? So people won't get it until the pain really comes. And that train is never late. The pain will always come. Every Republican president in my lifetime has handed his successor a recession, and this will happen again. So that will be when people will get mad finally.
Can I add on to what Justin you said? You did bring up a really good point because like as a Democrat, I can sit there and I can say something bad about Biden, look, or just not even bad, the truth. But as a Republican, you cannot say anything bad or the truth about or anything that you disagree with about the leader. And that even kind of goes down to the actual individual voters, not just the people in the party, or the elected officials.
Yeah, that does seem to be a big difference. Like, people who support Trump, they don't want to criticize him, which is kind of, I mean, I guess that goes back to the cult thing, because you can still support a guy and criticize him. I mean, Obama's my guy, but I criticize him. Like, he made some
Yeah,
mistakes.
same.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll say, going back to what Justin was saying, uh, I'm not one to believe in conspiracy theories, but it does feel to me is like, is there some master plan that they have that I don't understand? Like, do they want something to happen that, like, they feel like either a crash, or part of me's thinking like they're kind of carrying on like they don't expect to have elections again. I don't know. Like, do you think there's some kind of grand plan here, or is it just rich people just trying to get richer?
I think it's Ocean 11's heist. I think
Okay.
that's basically what it comes down to. I think it's basically just because if you think about it, in the history of America, the way that the billionaire class, or I guess that, obviously we haven't had billionaires forever, but like whoever that top of the richest of the rich folks, the Rockefellers and all them, what they used to do in order to have influence was they used to work with Washington to be able to get certain deals done at like a discount or something, right? And so like they used to try to influence their way through that. Then lobbyism or lobbyists came around, and then that became the new thing where it's like, and then it became like, oh, we can fund, start to fund with Citizens United, we can fund our own candidate. So like they've been inching closer and closer towards like, I'm just buying the country. I'm just buying it. I'm just buying it. And they finally had somebody who was open to buying the country because you couldn't do that with, say, even a Mitt Romney, right? Like Mitt Romney wouldn't let anyone be like, by the way, hey, Mitt, I want to come in as Elon Musk and I'm going to run the show. I'm going to give you a bunch of money. I'm going to help you win elections. I'm going to pay people to vote for you and blah, 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 blah. Like Mitt Romney would be like, whoa, 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 everyone calm down, right? Like John McCain. And mind you, these are the folks before Trump, right? So like we're dealing with that, whatever. Once Trump got the nomination, the billionaire class was like, one of us got in. And it became like, yo, how do we make this work, right? The first time around, I feel like they were kind of feeling it out a little bit. Now, Elon was still kind of like, I mean, there's a billionaire in there. Like, he was inching a little bit because before that, he was basically a Dem, right? But then once it became very evident, like, yo, we could actually like take over this country and use Trump as a proxy. That's the thing that's in the future that's going to start to happen is that they're going to pretend like, hey, Trump, we love you. But then at some point in time, it's going to be, but you realize that we own you, especially Elon, right? Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the
Especially
day,
Elon.
Elon's going to be like, I don't care what Bannon's talking about. I don't care what Laura Loomer's talking about. Your ass is mine. And you're going to do what I want you to do, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where it's at. So I don't think it's like anything more of a grand plan. I don't think they're like, and then in 2000 this, like, this will happen and that'll happen. And then all of a sudden we'll become, like the seven from the boys. And we'll run. I don't think it's that deep because they also don't like each other. Like these guys don't like each other, right? Like they're still competing with each other to get all the money. But ultimately what it does come down to is they're like, this is a chance for us to do a grand heist. We're going to put a bunch of billionaires in the cabinet. We're going to have a bunch of billionaire business people involved. We're all billionaires, so we're going to figure out how to get this money. Let's cut the VA. And that's what I mean by like they're not thinking it through.
No, because they're opportunists.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that's all it is. They're seeing an opportunity, and like just like you said, the first time around they weren't sure if the opportunity was there, but now they know
They know.
it's there, and they're taking the opportunity because they
Yeah.
are opportunists. That's
But,
Right.
all it is.
but Chaz, don't you think there has to be a backlash? I mean, doesn't there have to be a backlash?
Yes.
Yeah. Eventually.
Okay.
I,
Like,
I, I don't
like
I don't
politically.
I don't know. I don't know. Because like tell that to the Cuban people that lived under Fidel Castro for what 50 years. Like I don't that maybe that
Well,
it doesn't always work out in the end, right? There's
no.
plenty of countries where like, hey, it failed experiment, so it doesn't mean this will work out in the end.
Yeah, but
So
here's the
You look
thing.
at Brazil though.
Right. Well, Brazil, there's a lot of here's the thing about America and
well,
places
there's more states that have failed than that have succeeded in
yes,
human
but
history.
here's the reason why, right? Because when you have a centralized country, now everyone always wants to kind of go back to Rome, but
Sure.
let's keep it a buck. Like Rome was like Rome had the England problem where it's like, oh, we're in France, we took over the French, but they're all a bunch of fucking French motherfuckers, right? And so it's like it's eventually they were gonna go off and do their own. Like this is what it was gonna happen. Like it just wasn't like that's why Rome fell. Like people want to be like, oh, it's because they were having sex with boys or whatever. Was like, but like no, like the reason Rome fell is because they got too goddamn big, right? Like it just is.
Yeah, they don't have cars.
Yeah, like it just got too much of it. But the thing about America that when people read history books, they kind of forget, right? 1938 Germany could happen because the demographic was primarily homogeneous.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like
That's a good point.
like a lot of these different countries, like even communist China, it could happen because everyone
Yeah.
it's the same.
Yeah,
Like
It's mostly all Chinese people. Yeah.
they're all Chinese
Yeah.
people, and
And
they know they're Chinese.
there's different types of Chinese, but they're all Chinese.
They're all Chinese,
Yeah.
right? Like in America, you have places or people where because we're so different and because the demographic isn't 50, like, what was it 51% of people went with Trump? 49%? That 49%, that 49% is so not on board with that motherfucker.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Like they're
Yeah.
so not on board with that
Right.
it's gonna be very hard to be like, I'm gonna do a thing. Like, here's an example. They were supposed to do the raids in Chicago, right? They're like, yeah,
Right.
we're gonna go to Chicago. I don't know why they chose Chicago. Go to Texas. Texas will let you do whatever
No,
you
they
want.
want to go to a blue state. They specifically want to go like
Yeah,
a
they
blue
want to go
state.
to blue
Well,
state.
well, here's what happened.
Yeah.
They started doing some intel about going in there, and they're like, if we go into Chicago, the place that Fox News says has a bunch of guns and rifles and shit, and motherfuckers like to get the bucket, motherfuckers gonna get the bucket. So now they're reevaluating whether or not they should go into Chicago.
But wouldn't
You
Trump
see
want
what
that
I'm saying?
though? I mean, I guess the question is, I feel like Trump would want some confrontation at this point because he knows
And
49% of
that's
people are
and that's
against him.
and that's perfectly fine. But you will have 49% of the nation ready to kill you.
Yeah.
You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like let's like here's the thing. I don't believe, and don't get me wrong, like I said before, I hope they do the shit. I hope they do the shit. Seriously, like if any Republicans are watching this, go do the thing you want to do because see how that ends up for you. Because you already have a situation where somebody tried to shoot Trump in the face. The first time I believe it. The second time I think it was a joke. Right. The first time I think that Iran fired the guy. You also had somebody who was a MAGA supporter take a Cybertruck and blow it up in front of Trump Tower. Look, Luigi's in jail right now. See what I'm saying? Like the billionaire class, because this has never happened before, they've never seen in America, at least this has happened in other countries,
Yeah.
but in America, they've never seen, oh, we get shot in the face for shit like this. You see what I'm saying? In other
Yeah.
countries, it takes a while to get there, but at some point in time, and like again, Russia, it's not going to happen. Russian people are like, look, we're all Russian people. We like, yeah, we all want Ukraine. Go ahead, Vlad, right? The Chinese people are like, we don't need. Look, I had too many girls. My bad. Send them off to the woods. Like, you know what I'm saying? They have their thing, but they're all the same people. Americans are way too different for any of that shit to slide. So will there be repercussions? Absolutely. Right?
Mhm.
Like that's it's the reason people have tried this, whether it's Barry Goldwater, whether it's who was old boy after Lincoln, who was insane.
Andrew Johnson or
Andrew
something.
Jackson.
Andrew Jack. Like people have tried to do the whole like I'm gonna be terrible, and it works for a little bit, and then people are like, "Why the fuck are we terrible?" Typically, what happens in situations like this is after the mayhem and everything goes terrible, we end up being like, "Yo, that was horrifically stupid. We can't ever do that again," and that country goes super hard left.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, Americans will kill leaders. Like the American
we've done it
people.
before,
Yeah, we kill leaders all the time.
right?
We do that. We do that.
But
Sure.
I mean, Justin, do you agree with that? Like maybe America's too diverse and there's not enough homogeneity for someone to just like put the smack down on America and kind of push through an agenda? Because I'm inclined to believe that, but I feel like when the media, when he has the Supreme Court, the media, the Congress, there's so many institutions that are kind of like demoralized or with Trump that there aren't really a lot of pathways to stop Trump if he wants to go like fascist.
Yeah, there are.
I do agree with Osei on that because of that reason. Because despite the media and all this stuff, to his point, it's for fascism to work, you need a larger chunk of the country to go along with it and realize like if you take the nation as an aggregate, it was something like 30 to 31% of it voted for Trump, and 29% voted for Harris, and then like 36% didn't vote at all. And if you run a system and you realize that the needs and goals of an oligarchy and the needs and goals of the people are diametrically opposed.
Yeah.
So if Elon and Bezos get everything they want, everybody else will fail. We will not
Right.
there will be no spread wealth across where all the sea rises all ships. Theirs will go way up. Everyone else will go down,
That's a
and
good
you
point.
can't survive with everybody else floundering. There's too many of them with too many diverse opinions and not enough diehards because you've got maybe 25 to 29% of the country that's diehard behind Trump no matter what he does. And everyone else is like, if my money is fucked up, y'all have a fucking problem. So
Right.
if it gets too bad, that's how revolutions happen. and you've seen Luigi kill somebody in New York, and the entire nation go, "Cool."
Right.
Like it's
Right.
like when you
Yeah,
have
everybody
that
does.
type of reaction, if you take away a mortgage tax deduction, you take away people's Medicaid, you kick people off healthcare, the economy goes into
Or
recession.
I mean, just to jump in,
There's nothing the media can normalize to make people go like, yeah, fine, more
well,
Trump.
well, just to jump into that, or like not give money to states because you don't like them for disasters.
Right.
I mean,
Right. Like
that's super dangerous.
that's
But
really
Justin,
dangerous because you have your people in there who've been impacted, and if they're like, yeah, fuck y'all, you're like, excuse me, like I need
Like,
again,
trust
people
me,
in America are self-interested. When you fuck with self, then you have a problem.
right.
So
And
I'm
that's
not
the
saying
thing
it's
is,
going to be easy, but like to think that people will just roll over while everyone's doing shitty, like I don't foresee that happening. There isn't enough homogeneity and people who hate immigrants enough to go along with that game plan to sacrifice all of everything going in.
but Justin, can you talk a little bit just about that you shared in the text with the 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 TikTok changing the words and kind of my point is if they control narrative and media, then maybe like media plays a big part of this.
Yes.
So if I don't hear about um, that crazy bill in Oklahoma about making homeless people, I don't even know exactly what they're doing to homeless people, but whatever they're doing to homeless people, if I don't hear about it, or if I hear about it in a certain way, or I'm not allowed to look at it, it's difficult when I'm only ingesting what they want.
And I understand that piece of it, but the problem again kind of comes with you can tell me all this stuff, but if my economics and my paycheck is still fucking up, I'm not really going to care. And the reason that I even know about that, stuff in the TikTok where if you type in rigged election or Trump rigged election, you get no search results. But if you type, close your eyes and put a bunch of words in, you'll get search results on that. Or if you misspell it, you get search results on that. I found out from other creators on TikTok
right.
that are basically like, they basically TikTok went off like dark skinned Aunt Viv and came back light skinned Aunt Viv. Like,
Right.
what the fuck is going on?
Right.
Like, people noticed. So it's like, and that will build steam. So it's just gonna go away, and people are just gonna like eat that shit sandwich and be like, fine. He has to deliver for people, or else it will fail. The fascism won't stick no matter what they do if they don't deliver the goods to people on an economic end. And what their plans look like from their tariffs and their tax plan look like literal reverse Robin Hood. Like, I'm going to take all this stuff from regular people. I'm going to cut all benefits they need, and I'm going to give it to Elon.
But see,
Right.
okay, but Justin,
Like,
so I'll say, and Chaz, you could jump in. Here's what scares me. Their plan obviously cannot work. So either A, they think it's gonna work and they're just delusional, or B, they know it's not gonna work and they have a plan to stop dissent because they know their plan's not gonna work and they're not gonna win seats in the midterm. So that's the scary part to me. Like this is so
Here's
obviously
the
not gonna work.
I think they think it's going to work.
Oh, okay,
thing. Okay.
well, okay.
So two things.
I
One, I think
Seriously, I
I
think they think
think
it's going to work.
I think they think it's gonna work. Two, even if they said like we'll just crush dissent once we get Pete Hegseth in there and blah blah blah. Let me tell you something, bruh. Two things. One, again, the military is not gonna be like, oh shit, we were just talking to Lloyd Austin and now we got Pete Hegseth. He said to mow down a bunch of protesters in the street.
Right.
Guess I gotta do this shit. Like, not gonna do that.
I got to go kill my cousin now over in Los Angeles. Like,
They're
not
like,
going to work.
you're like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's such a major problem. And on top of that, it's like, even if you did do that, right? Yeah, you're dead to the fried chicken. This is not, again, this is not one of these, democratic socialist nations that we probably should be that doesn't have AR-15. I just went to the shooting range in downtown LA the other day, and they've got a wall of rifles, just rifles for days. This country is obsessed with the idea of shooting motherfuckers, right? Look, somebody already tried to take his head off, some random yokel from Pennsylvania, right? Like, say what you want. The random yokel tried to take his head off. They can be like, it was rigged or whatever, blah, blah. he created a universe where we saw someone try to shoot him, which means shooting him is possible. It
Yes.
is
Yeah,
not impossible, whether he
not
Yeah.
wants it
impossible.
or
But
not impossible. Someone's
I
gonna try to kill this motherfucker.
I think Korea, you're looking at it. I think you asked the wrong question.
Okay.
It's not about if it works or not. It's about let's make this money. So it doesn't really. No one's really
Right.
focused on.
Yeah.
Hey, I got this thing. I'm gonna see if this works for
For the
somebody.
next
Whatever.
20 years, right?
Yeah, it's not about that. Like no one cares on their end. Nobody cares. Hey, is this going to work? Because it's not like, hey, do I believe this will work? That they're not thinking about that. They're thinking about Trump. Trump's net worth went up over $50 million in the past 2 days. That or billion, I'm sorry, would it be? That's what they're thinking about. Let's make this money. That it's not about. I wonder if this will work for the country. I wonder if this will work for my friends. What will work for me is me get money.
Right.
Me
Like
money.
Snoop Dogg. Yeah, like Snoop
That's
Dogg.
it. Done.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck about the country. They're like, let me
No, they
cut
don't.
off several billion. Like, I
They
don't
can
care
go
about
anywhere
what
they
they.
want.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah, they don't care.
I'm gonna go to the Bahamas or the
And just live there for the
Fiji.
rest of my days.
Yeah, they don't care like
No,
at
they don't.
all.
They don't at
So
all.
you basically you guys are arguing that there's no ideology behind this. There's no.
No.
It's just
Yeah, well,
money
it
making.
is,
The
but
ideology of money.
Right.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just I'm robbing
Yeah.
you niggas. Like you
Yeah.
niggas getting robbed.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you're arguing that's better. The fact they don't really have a plan besides getting money.
Oh, it's
The-
way better because
okay.
it like literally like that's what we're telling you is the best case scenario. Because like I said before,
Yeah.
if they are on some shit where Elon's like super Bond villain, where it's like, you know, like yes, and then I would enslave everybody.
Yeah, like
Like
this.
giving a Nazi salute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
like
And
you
he's
did, like
doing
you
it
did twice today. Like,
because he
yeah, I'm
could
gonna
be
be
on that. He just did do that. He could be on that. The problem is that you, and this kind of goes into the factions. You have two factions because you do have a big vocal part of their party that is about that Nazi salute, right? That
Yeah.
is about Project 2025. So the thing is, if they're going to let them carte blanche do whatever, then we are in trouble because while the people that are supposed to be protecting us, um, there's no one to protect us. We have one part Nazi, fascist, and then one part oligarch,
Right.
right? And so we're in, there is no lesser of two evils here. There isn't. They're both just super evil.
I mean, give me
Right.
oligarch over fascist, but I know what you're saying.
I don't know, man.
I don't
yeah,
know.
I don't
I
know.
don't
I think
know.
you're
I'm not
in
sure.
between
I'm
dark
with
side and
Chaz on that.
Thanos.
It's
Well,
like
okay, here's my point.
are
Fascism,
they shot in the face or shot here or shot here? It's like
Yeah,
there's
but
no
you have an oligarch that did a Hail Hitler salute. So what?
well, to me that's
Like,
fascist. I mean, because he doesn't have to. He could be an oligarch without giving a Nazi
okay,
salute.
so what's worse about Elon Musk? The fact that he's an oligarch to you, or the fact that he's a Nazi fascist?
The fact that he's a Nazi, the fact that he gave a Nazi salute twice publicly
To me,
is
the
worse.
Nazi.
Is worse than saying like I'm an oligarch. I think it should be ruled by the few or people or plutocracy rule
yeah,
with
but
people
we've
running.
had a bunch of fascists in our country since fascism started. We've had a bunch.
Okay,
We haven't had a bunch of oligarchs.
Yeah, we've been through racist white people plenty of times. Like,
I
I'd
mean,
rather not have an
like,
I
oligarch.
would
yeah,
argue that we've had oligarchs and not fascists in positions of high power. I mean,
Oh, we've
we've.
had fascist ways by power,
I mean, Henry Ford.
Yeah,
Okay, go on.
Reagan was a
yeah,
freaking
he's a
Nazi,
fascist.
basically.
Yeah.
Like, look, he was a
sure.
racist. He's a
He was a
gigantic racist.
he was a racist, but to me, fascist. Okay, you could be. If this is about racism, of course, every American
Okay,
president for
racism,
200
fascist,
years has
different
been
things.
racist.
And they are
Yeah.
different. They are
Yes,
different.
fascism
different.
is fundamentally different. Fascists
Yeah, it's different.
are people who believe in like violent conquest. Like these are people who think that like this weak and this the powerful and the weak should be crushed. And like to
Right.
me, Elon Musk giving a Nazi salute as the richest man in the world, to me, that's him saying that weak people should be crushed. And
Yes.
like
No, he believes that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that kind of like so South Africa. I mean, so it's not like none of this should be shocking.
That's how he
to us.
feels.
Yeah, none of this should be shocking to us, but it's just like the fact that it's not even. I mean, it's a story, but it should be like on the
Yeah.
cover. It should be on the cover of
But
every newspaper. Like this guy
it should be. It's not. They're
I
not
know
going to cover
because
on
they're
anything.
gonna try to pretend like he didn't mean to do that or he meant to
And
do
honestly,
something else.
And
Well,
honestly,
they're saying he was giving love. That's what they're saying. He was giving love.
Yeah,
no,
they said it's a Roman salute. It was Roman,
it was
which
What?
is literally what the Nazis got it from. So
They're
whatever.
no, it's not.
but here's the thing, though, right? Like the reason why I'm not petrified of fascists is
Okay.
because historically, fascists die. See what I'm saying? Fascists don't win.
But
Like
they kill though before they
no, they
die.
kill. Fine, go kill, nigga. Like, do the fascist thing. Hurry up, do the fascist thing, and eventually you'll die. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like that's my point. My point is you can't. There's no Care Bears way out of this.
No.
So it's like, in order to go through it, we all have to kind of go through it, right? Like,
Okay.
it's Hunger Games. Like, Rue's gonna die. It is what it is. That's where we're at. But we can't have Rue's death be in vain. All that kind of jazz. Then the thing with fascists is that it's all sweet. It's literally like the other definition of fascism is running your country like a business, right? Like same thing. Like, oh, you're not reading quarterly reports? Well, we gotta kill your ass. Like, and you're like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, you didn't do as well as we wanted you to, so you're weak. So get the fuck out of here. It's like, but it's my country. Exactly. Like, you know what I'm saying? And the thing about that, especially when you have a country that is not homogeneous by any stretch of the imagination, in idea, in thought, in geography, in anything, you're going to get your ass beat. Like that doesn't end. There's no one who's like, that 60 years of fascism was great. Like, that has literally never happened.
That's fair. That's
It's
fair.
never happened. Communism all day long. Capitalism or democracy all day long. Democratic socialism all day long. Fascism that's literally got an 8-year shelf life.
There's no long-term plan for fascism. Yeah.
No,
There's no
there's
long-term plan
not.
for fascism. Like Bolsonaro
not.
was like, and then they were like, no. And then he was like, storm the Capitol. And they were like, put his ass in jail. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So
What's
it's
his face in the Philippines too recently? Was it Duterte? Like that didn't
yeah.
work. Like
Well,
it doesn't last.
the only thing is though, you can't really have fascism. From what we've seen, you can't have fascism without war. So the reason why all fascist countries have failed is because they went to war. So we haven't seen fascism without war. We haven't seen that.
But we never seen.
But Bose is right. There is no fascism. The way you have to look at it is fascism has, to me, a decade tops that it can run. That it can run. But we've never seen a fascist nation with an extended period of peace. We haven't seen that.
And
Go
here's the
on.
funny thing about fascism when you talk about like war. You need the war.
You do.
You need it, right? You need the war.
Because that's how
Yes.
you extend it to 10 years. If you
Yeah.
don't
Correct.
want war, and the thing about, again, America doesn't want war. So you can't be like,
No.
you know what,
No.
we're going to war with them. Be like, no, the fuck you're not.
No,
Fuck
Americans
you're
think.
We haven't had war on American soil since the Civil War. Like,
But what do you mean by
they're
war?
not
Because
gonna
let's say Trump is
do-
serious.
like war.
But let's say Trump is serious about taking.
Yeah.
But my point is, let's say Trump is serious about taking Panama. Like he's like, we need the Panama
What
Canal.
was it not?
He's not.
We're gonna send some Marines down there.
Let's say
Go ahead, Creek, because I think
Yeah.
when the president of the United States says something,
you can't take it
we
seriously.
shouldn't scoff.
Yeah, you can't take it seriously.
You know, we're scoffing, right? But we shouldn't.
So let's say okay, like, because I'm sure a huge chunk of world trade goes through the Panama Canal, right?
Yeah,
so let's say Trump is like, man,
world trade, by the way. We'll come back to that.
yeah. So let's say Trump is like, hey, if we have the Panama Canal, I could do my terrorist thing. They have no choice because then they have to go around. Like, I'm about to make, we'll make a whole bunch of money. We can send some Marines down to Panama. Like, I mean, it's a little tiny ass country. Like, we'll take over. Who in America?
The entire world. The entire world would be like, we're coming at you with whatever missiles we
Are
have.
you sure about that?
I don't care about the military. Yes.
See, that's
I don't know.
They would do covert shit to murder niggas internally. The entire world is not going to allow this man to take over the Panama Canal, which literally.
I don't know. I got my own civilian population to look out for. Sorry, Panama.
It's not about Panama. It's about trade. That's the thing. It's like Kuwait. Like,
Yeah,
Kuwait
but
wasn't about the
all
Kuwait.
war is about trade. All
Right.
war.
So the Panama Canal is literally something that half the world needs in order to get their shit. So you're trying to tell me that the United States of America wants to invade Panama to now
Okay.
rig the way that I do my business? I'm sending fucking. We're doing crypto shit. And we're paying niggas to kill
Okay,
people.
but Jose, name me a country. Like, just give me an example of a country. Is like, we're not letting this slide. Give me an example of a country.
Literally, all like, especially after he pulls out of NATO, all of NATO will be like, okay, bet.
Yeah, who's the first country that does like
Yeah.
who's
I mean, the first
first?
country's throwing a punch. The first country's throwing a punch.
I have to keep it real with you. Whoever the first country is the one, and I have to do the research on it, who would be most affected. But probably like the first two or three, they'll have a conversation who's most affected by trade being fucked
Okay,
over.
but Jose, here's where I think is. What if Trump is like, okay, we'll accept you. Like, let's say England's like, no, we're not letting that slide, and Trump's like, okay, England, like, you proved your point. We're gonna accept you. You're good.
Yeah, you
Are they
get the
still
same
gonna, are they
deal.
still gonna throw a punch?
No, you can't trust him.
So what?
You can't trust
What
him.
you say?
You can't trust him.
Hey, England, you're gonna get the
We're
same
gonna
deal.
accept you. Trust the man didn't put his hand on the Bible when he took his oath. What are we talking about?
That is some antichrist shit. But
Like his hand
What?
was blown up.
Wait,
Yeah,
I didn't know
he didn't
that.
put his.
oh yeah,
He didn't put his hand.
Yeah,
He didn't put his
they
hand
were
on
like,
the
can you
Bible.
swear on his Bible? He was
he's
like,
like, nah, we're good.
He's like, no.
Oh, you didn't know? He's literally like, nah, we're good on that. Like, no, thank you.
like, I'm not even Christian, but I'm not doing that shit just to let you know. You
Yeah.
fucking with me, nigga, you fucking with death row. Like,
Yeah, he literally was like, nah, we're good.
you're not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Well,
So-
watch
And that's what I'm saying.
Chaz processes that.
So now I'm England. He's like, don't worry, I got you. You're fine. Your prices won't go up a bit. Oh, okay, bro. Send bond, nigga. I believe you, sir. Send bond. I don't have time for this.
He's not invading Panama though. He's gonna try and tariff pressure them, but he's not gonna invade it. That's not gonna happen.
And the funny
There's
thing is,
no
they're gonna be
way.
like, "What the fuck do you mean tariff pressure?"
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna increase your tariffs to whatever 50% to make you
I'll
do
be
what
like,
I
all
said.
right.
Like, or I'll close the fucking canal to you. Like,
I
fine.
think you guys are underestimating a little bit how powerful America is and how much leverage he
Oh,
has
no,
as
no,
a
no.
president.
His
I am not at
people
all.
aren't gonna go for that. It's not gonna go for that. He came
So-
for no wars.
Right. So there's a difference between this and the world, and this is basically what we're doing with Russia, in fact, right? America could blow the world over up like 10 times over. Literally tomorrow they could be like, actually, let's just have a extinction level event tomorrow, right? Like all humans are dead. We could do that tomorrow if we felt like it. So obviously, if all these NATO countries come at him, he's gonna be like, you realize I could basically put all of Europe into rubble, right? The issue he's going to have with that, again, is we don't live in a homogeneous country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing if everyone's like, yeah, American exceptionalism, all 80% of us believe in this bullshit. Okay, sure. Like, then we can really do some things.
Yeah, but the minute the EU sinks one American ship, I don't give what the fuck it is. I'm good with it. I'm good with it. Like invade Poland, I'm good with that. So
Well,
I think that
but here's-
going back to fascists need war, you start a war with Poland, Americans will jump on board when the first GI dies. Like, even if we're in the wrong, the first GI that dies, I'm good with it.
Right, but that means what that would mean is all of a sudden, right? Because again, now we're going after people. Is that this ain't? It's not Iraq, right? It's not Afghanistan.
Right?
All of a
We're
sudden,
white people.
we have to deal with a fucking nuke heading over towards Seattle.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And we're like, oh, well, we have 10 more of those. Like, yeah,
But they do too, though. See, that's the thing. Like, they have a lot more to lose than we do, right? Like, if we're
Yeah,
like,
I don't think it's a rush to nukes. I don't think it's a rush to nukes because we do want to conduct trade over this. The question is going to be, going back to Panama, how much America are you going to raise our prices to go through the Panama Canal? And if the price is too high, then there'll be a war over that. And this is all this is all whatever, but that would cause a war. But I do think you could rally Americans. If Americans get assaulted, Americans would rally.
I don't think you're rallying any American.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, for the war of a Panama Canal. Especially, part of the reason is especially because how it's been started. It's been started with this nigga randomly saying, I want the Panama Canal. It's not like they attacked us. It's not like Afghanistan where there's people in Saudi Arabia or overseas. This nigga's like, I want Panama.
I mean,
and so like
he could do what they did in Iraq. He could say there's terrorists there. He could say there's drug dealers there. I mean, that's how they got their handgun.
But we know that's not true. Like, no one's going to buy that
thing.
after he's been for months saying, I just want Panama.
And also, no one's. That's the reason why Americans don't want war now, because the first Persian Gulf War, yes sir, let's do that shit. The second one after 9/11, even though they had nothing to do with anything, yes sir, let's do that shit. If you try to do that now, like they're terrorists who are, they'll be like, we don't want war, bro. We don't want war. Republicans and Democrats both don't want war. Now, going back to what Chaz was saying, if all of a sudden they're like, well, fuck you, motherfuckers, we're going to do war, and you send people out there and they kill one Pat Tillman type dude, and they put it on TV like this NFL player left to get his brains blown out in Panama. Then you know what I'm saying? Like then all of a sudden it'll be like, oh shit. And I would say like another 15% of the people would, and obviously I'm speculating like with the percentages. But
Sure.
that 49% who was like, fuck this guy from the rooter to the tutor are going to say, fuck this guy from the rooter to the tutor. That shit is not going to change. It might change for Chaz. It ain't going to change for me. I don't know why that nigga went. Like,
so here's the thing. I take your point about the homogeneous part. I think that's an important point. Like, we're very diverse, but I do feel like in 1938 Germany, there's people that after Hitler got elected, like, oh, he can't do this shit. Like, nah, like, fuck him. Like,
well, yeah,
Well, also,
we're not gonna,
in
we're not
I
gonna,
America,
mean, they were the
Congress
Holy
has to
Roman
authorize
Empire.
war
They
too.
thought they were diverse.
yeah.
yeah,
I
but
mean,
they did. And here's how they did it, right? Because Hitler, a brown-haired dude with a weird-ass mustache, told everybody, we are all descendants of the Aryan race. He
Sure.
found a way to bring everybody together and
Yeah.
be like, we the German people are the strong. This is the same thing that Napoleon Bonaparte did, right? He was like,
Yeah.
after the French Revolution, he was like, French people are better than everybody else because we are French, and therefore, in America, it is impossible to tell 14% of the population who are the children of slaves, to tell 20% of the population who are Latinos, who you literally are like, get the fuck out of my country, to tell a whole bunch of Asian people who you put them in internment camps at some point, to be like, we're all Americans, let's go kill Panamanians.
Yeah, that's only going to work if we get attacked like 9/11. That's the only way that works.
Or
So,
false,
no,
or false
they're not
flag
going to
event,
hit it.
or
Or
false
very
flag.
false flag. And plus, Congress has to authorize war. The Senate's not authorizing him to go to war with Panama. It's not happening. It's not going to. It's just him yapping about it, and he'll end up doing nothing.
But why is he talking about it?
I'd rather eat
Because
my words
he's
than
crazy, and because it helps Russia. Because Russia wants Panama and Greenland, and those are trade transport spots that have packed them. So Putin's probably saying like, "Hey, can you go like try and like deal with these people?" And then so he's talking about it, and all of the responses like, "Man, nigga, fuck off, like go away." Like it's not gonna happen. He's just talking. He's just bluster talking about stuff. He can't do it. There's nothing he can do. Like it's not one of the things he can do. He can go do immigration stuff and put people in detention camps for immigration. He can fuck up the economy, that type of shit. This is the shit he's just not gonna do.
Right.
He's just not. It's just not gonna happen.